in this video, I'm going to basically talk about and I'm going to show you how it is and how lucky of a trip it can be within this place, because you can easily go to places like, well, let's say Dublin, Milan, Paris, Krakow, and many other places within 12 hours. 12 hours in the place, and you can actually do it and find flights as little as £28. I've done that with Dublin many times in the past, as you can see in previous videos, where I've even took my mate to go to Dublin for like as cheapest as like £35 each, and and you can't even get a normal taxi or a takeaway at that price. To be fair, it's weird, but yeah, you can find prices as little as that one. So this is kind of not my top tip, not my tips on how you can do it, or an example. It's more of a little bit of a guide if you are bored and you do want to travel around the places. As I say, extreme day trips. It sounds a little bit insane, but it's definitely exciting at the same time, because it kind of proves your capability of how far you can go, and it does sound a little bit insane and definitely does sound exhausting, but it does prove that travel can be not can be expensive or a huge time commitment, and let's yeah, and let's talk about it, how it can all happen. So there is so let's explain what a day tripper is. It's a simple concept actually. You book the earliest flight out and the latest flight coming home on the very same day. It gives you a full day to explore the city, beach, little towns, little coastal hotels, with the purpose of not having bulky hotel costs or massive hotel luggages, or well, not hotel luggages, but bulky luggages where you just walk around. It's a pure, simple, concepted little adventure. All you need is just a little bit of just a backpack, few things, battery, food, water, passport, and just a little bit of sense of adventure. That's all. That's all it is to do one of these extreme day trips, and it does test your planning, your stamina, and the ability to run on airport coffee. Even though it costs somewhere around £4 to £6. Yeah, best off bringing a flask for that one actually. Much cheaper than airport coffee, unless you find a Greg's. Yeah. But yeah, you can literally book a you can book you can really book and find a flight that is cheap. Yes, yes. Sometimes it can go wrong, sometimes it can go right doing these kind of day trips. They are risks of doing day trips. I've done it before. I've copped up a few times doing these extreme day trips off camera. That's why I've done a few on camera, but they didn't work out, so I've never put them on the channel or anything like that. But you can really find cheap flights out there, and if you know where to look, you can definitely find them. Uh, but yeah, the mission really is to find like comparison sites, digging around the internet, like flights, like flight scanner, Google Flights. The but oh well, let's say my best one is literally the Skyscanner up top of the others. There's like kayak and all that stuff. There are other tools out there that you can best easily find up on the trip. But my personal favorite and experience is going on Skyscanner. They do help a lot, and they do find extremely good deals for extreme day trips and that. All you do is type in the day, type in the location, type going to anywhere, type in like a flight anywhere, do like a day trip, type in the day trip, or anything like that. And it gives them a deal. Or if the one best tip is there is a dedicated website for it. It's called Extreme Day Tripper website, where that's a website where it dedicates itself for finding like short stays or day trips within the amount of times it gives you an example of and that. I'll give you a little list. This is a little list of it where I am now. But yeah, you can just drop in the location. It gives you all the details. There is a paid version of it, but the free version is more than capable enough of giving you an example on where to go. Where to go? Like I found a few locations between like Alicante, Dublin, Krakow, and all from my local airport, the Leeds Bradford Airport, part of it. Other than that, but yeah, there are such sites as that called was it Extreme Day Trips. It is brilliant to go on that thing, which is literally just as I say, designed to specially find those same day trips. The most important rule is to be absolutely flexible. You can't just pick your dream city or location and hope for the best deal to find it, because sometimes it does not really work out. Especially one time where I've gone to Dublin, where I've actually tried to go to Dublin, and when I've got there, it was already coming there, but coming back was a little bit awkward because it was a little bit of a mix up on the flight. So mishaps and directions and all that stuff and inconvenience is going to actually happen because that kind of varies on each month of the day, depending on peak times or off peak times. It kind of really varies on that moment, and that's and I have found like amazing prices throughout the upcoming weeks from different airports like Leeds to Paris with Jet2 is like £28. That's the cheapest I found it at. I can't say the date of it of what date it is. Manchester Dublin is like 25 quid to go to Dublin and come back. You can literally just wake up, take a trip into Dublin, and still be back in your own bed within 10 to 12 hours. Well, not 12 hours, but at least about 10, 11 hours now with Ryanair. And Stansted to Milan. Milan's a good place, and you can actually get there for like £35 as I found within that travel. Bristol to Gonsak, Gdansk. I'll bring the photo of it all that one. Can't say that one. That's dyslexia tongue twister for me. Even places like that you can go to for £32 and even go to Barcelona from Liverpool to £40 with EasyJet. They are a few examples on what you can do to spend a good few hours, at least about 8 to 10 hours at max, or even 11 hours if you're pushing it, to even get up in early hours in the morning, have a bit of gander, go walk through the beaches, walk through the cities, go through little villages, and still come back at the same day at the night and be in your own bed and wake up, go to work the very next day like nothing's really happened, and that's how it feels when I wake up most days when I do these sort of trips and that. But yeah, there are deals out there. It's like I booked the Dublin one as you see with my mate a few on the spot a few times ago, and of course the flight is just one piece of bustle and that. You also need to think about getting from the airport food and what you'll do for like, let's say like for airport transport. Airport transport may vary cost and that. So it might be okay finding a good deal for getting there and back with the flights, but you got to consist in the inclusive like the day trips, the food, the meal, the flight transport, flights transfer as well. There is like trains. That's for example a train from Charles Charles de Galante de Galley. There we go. Got there eventually. In Paris is about 12. It's about £12, but the bus from Dublin can also be the cheapest if you're flying from like Leeds Bradford Airport to Dublin. You can get like a bus for like at least about €3 to €8, or you can get a transfer coach that is at least about £12. I prefer to go on because it's much more easy, much more cheaper and more reliable as well because the Dublin transport coaches they're more frequent than they are the bus and that. But yeah, as I say, the goal isn't the extreme day trips and overnight stays. The goal isn't just to spend only a total of £28. The goal is to show that the main part of the the flights can be that cheap. But the total budget to any trip, flights included, depends on your own parents on your own preference of spending habits. It's like me. I like to when I'm going to a new place. I like to basically adventure into like independent shops. sometimes go to tourist trap areas. Not a big fan of them, but you got to feel a bit of a sucker for them most of the time, depending on that time. But let's say for Dublin, an average spend for per person is, on my experience, is at least 150 quid. I've spent up from. It can be cheaper per person spending that much. I think one of my old traveling friends have done like at least about 75 pound going to France, from where he is. I'm not going to say his name or anything like that because I don't think he'll appreciate me saying his name. But yeah, the budget is depending on how you can actually spend on where you go or where you experience. But let's see where that gets us. So let's give you an example. So the 3 a.m. start. At the glamour of travel. You normally wake up at 3 o'clock. You've chose your destination, and you wake up. You get your bag. You feel cold. The brain is basically telling me why this is just a terrible experience. But you got to trust your gut most of the times because it's not a terrible idea. You've got to literally adventure out in the open that wherever that it's Paris, Milan, Dublin, or Krakow, or even Alicante for even the cheapest of like I'd say like 50, 40 pounds, something like that, depending on where you are. I mean, the power of light is just literally dependent on your feeling of it, and yeah, you can literally there is options where you can basically if you do own a car, you can drive to the airport. It's almost silent, or you can just get a taxi or anything like that. But the key trip to flat to the key trip like this to really light. I'd say you only need one small backpack. You don't need a bulky one, just a little small one, just with like just your essentials, your phone charger, your phone passport, and a little bit of emergency accommodations, just in case something goes wrong. Like you put, as I say, portable charger, water, and passport. That's just the basic needs, but you can add a little bit more just in case I think. Because you got to think of it right. You don't want to be standing around in the airport with bulkiness, with like bulky luggage. I got some one place or anything like that. But with just one bag, it's just literally no check bags means no waiting around for carousels, bulky luggages, or anything like that. You can just literally jump on a go through security, jump on a plane, get off, putting your bag under the seat in that, and getting straight to your destination with a more securely flight. That means it's actually quicker doing that one. And moving on, so on board, it's the on board of this online budget airline. The seats do their job, so you don't need to like choose your flights or anything like that, like your personal needs. Just jump up the plane, hope for the best. If you get like a middle aisle or window seat, depending on the thing, you kind of if you don't want to wait around, you can just opt in to playing the speed pass like I do for the moment and that just have a sleeping. If it's early hours in the morning, just have a sleep in so you get to your destination, so you're not behind on what is it on your little sleeping. So you get a bit of action to that. After getting off, let's say for example Paris, the first stop, is just taking in the atmosphere. It's just the atmosphere. It's like my first trip was literally Dublin. It was a weird experience. New atmosphere. Like going to the Guinness factory, the Temple Bar, spending like £12 on Guinness, €12 on Guinness, like the most expensive Guinness I've ever spent on and that, and just enjoying the atmosphere, walk and just having a walk about in Dublin. There's not much strategy to it. It's depending on your own capability and your imagination of it. As I say, a walkabout in Dublin, you can just step off the airport bus, head straight to the river, across the Perenny Bridge without spending a single euro. For like other examples, in let's say Milan, you can stand in a magnificent Duomo. Duomo. I think that's the word of it. Duomo. I'll end up putting it on screen for a moment. That's how much dyslexia is messed up for it. But yeah, you can stand in stuff like that, and get like a pretzel, a coffee, or a mozzarella ball for like mozzarella pizza for like 3 or €3 or €5. It's for stuff like that. It's just amazing for goes on days like that, and when you've done your 3 hours or 3 hours or free, well, when you've done all your adventuring, your traveling, your location, your sightseeing, it comes to the end of the day. So let's say it gets around 6 p.m. The let's say it gets to that the feeling is to start traveling back. So the early start finally catches up. It's time to head back towards the airport. It's a weird sad feeling because you've only just get to a city that's only explored a few hours of it, but it's time it's coming alive, that the feeling that you feel up in a restaurant, you've had a good day and that, but it's time to go back wherever you are, like on a train on a train going back from Charles, or a bus or a coach coming back from Dublin on a Dublin coach to the airport. The process is the same. Just a backpack, go through security, a self-a-thought, and it's just that literally easy. The flight home is totally different vibe because everyone's going to be tired, they're going to be sleepy, and a little bit exhausting. But you have that weird experience, that weird feeling of where to, of it's more of a bit. Let's say the old fairy of best. What was it, popped a cherry? Because you've given yourself an experience of what capability, what flights you can do on the cheap side, and that's what's good about it, and that the whole flight, and the whole day is just a satisfying exhaustion, and you pretty much doze off the whole flight way back. Me and Jigs did it on the recent flight from Dublin. We end up falling asleep on the way back and that. But yeah, you end up lying back in the UK wherever the airport you are. Flight for mine is Leeds Bradford Airport, say for like half ten, walking through the terminal, walking through the front door of the exit, waving bye to your 6 to 11 hours of extreme day trip and traveling, and that's how extreme day tripping is and feel like it. And this is what I want to talk about all of it. So yeah, the video might tag along. It's like 22 minute video. It will get shut down though, but that is what it's like to do a extreme day trip flight. So so let's say for the conclusion, for the end of this video, so you go back home. You go back home. You've done your thing, and the final. Let's have a look at the final cost of, like, let's add it up to, let's say, Paris. So let's say we've gone to Paris. We've took a day trip there. We've come back. So let's say the flights were £28. The airport transport were £24. The food and drink was £10. Metro were £2. The total day cost would be let's say just a comfortable under £75 per person, depending if you're on a cheap budget side or you want to splurge out a little bit more. It depends on your own preference for it. But is it worth it? 100%, because doing these day trip adventures gives you a sense of confidence if you are not sure on flying for the first time, or you are bored and you want to get out somewhere for a day or overnight stay. It's an exciting extreme day trip. It just isn't a relaxing vacation, as you probably hope. It's a high energy, chaotic adventure where you test the laws of patience, planning, and a bit of skill. Even though you might be a little bit tired, and you're only scratching the surface to coughing. Sorry there. And you're only scratching the surface to what city you can travel next to. But the upside is huge. You get to see new cultures, new cities, world famous landmarks, and try and eat amazing food, all without booking a hotel, taking a chunk out of work, and that you can all literally just wake up on a Saturday morning, decide to fly somewhere, and be back home without even breaking an actual single sweat, and just be in your home and just sleep in your own bed after visiting a new country. So if you think you don't have time or the money to travel, I hope this inspires you. This little chit chat is something new for me because I don't normally do something like this. Explaining my how extreme day trips work. and all that stuff. But if you, as I say, if you don't think you have the time or the money to travel, I hope this does inspire you to give you guys a taste of what extreme day trip is like, and give it a shot. It might just change how you see the world or how you experience things. I've had friends over a few theme park enthusiasts where they've jumped on a plane, come back in the same day, and spent like 12 hours, like 11 hours in a theme park. Look at them. I'm trying to do that as well. But yeah, it does change. It does change the world to it as well. But all I can say to you guys is I hope you enjoy this crazy travel challenge that you guys can put yourself up to. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and for more adventures, because this video is been on the bucket list for a very long while. I've been struggling to make it, but I've finally done it now, and I hope you guys do hit the button and subscribe for more adventures, travels, and all that stuff. Thanks for watching, guys. This has been one hell of a hard video to make. At least, mess up on my decision. Bye for now, guys.